guys, my name's Zach. I will be presenting today with Gabe, Justin, and Luke, and today we'll talk about the PA Wounded Warrior Project. And just so we know, this is not affiliated with the National Wounded Warriors Project. 11% of homeless population are veterans, and 1.4 million veterans are considered at risk for homelessness, and that's either because of poverty, lack of structure and networking and support, and lack of things like financial aid. And that's according to the National Coalition of Housing for Veterans. This is a very important topic to a lot of us personally. Specifically, I had two grandfathers in the United States military, and one of our members, Luke, is currently in service with the United States military. Why should homeless veterans matter to you? Well, according to Pew Trend Social, from young adults from ages 18 to 29, 33% of those people are immediately related to a veteran. And that number only continues to rise when you talk about family, friends, colleagues, coworkers, things like that. So you will, in your life, you will probably know a veteran that either was homeless, is currently homeless, or sadly will be homeless in the future. So if we just all did our part, and especially us as an individual, donate our time, $5, to the PA Wounded Warrior Project, we can all make a difference in veterans' lives. So today, Gabe is going to go over the problem. He's going to give you some very interesting information about that. Justin will talk about the solution, so he'll go into details about the Wounded Warrior Project itself. And finally, Luke will talk about what you as an individual can do to help a veteran today. And to Gabe.
Many veterans suffer physical and mental setbacks when returning from action. PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, is a major issue for veterans, and it comes with many consequences for both them and their loved ones. According to WoundedWarriorHomes.org, 1 in 5 vets of the Iraq or Iraqi war came home with PTSD. PTSD also greatly affects their chances of getting a job. According to VeteransData.info, 12.2% of PA vets have a service-connected disability. They also state that 6.3% of PA vets live in poverty, which is another great issue for the veteran community. Vets come home from action and are unable to work or get hired, so they're forced into poverty. Many blame the Department of Veteran Affairs, which has been criticized as a flawed system for the many issues veterans face, including not getting enough or any benefits at all. A lot of the issues vets face all turn back to their lack of access to well-paying jobs, which they need to create an affordable income to live. Many employers look over vets for their lack of education, their wrong skill set, their future deployment, and more. According to the Census Bureau, veterans have an unemployment rate of 8.1% in PA. Luckily, the PA Wounded Warriors offer many ways to help vets with the many issues they face.
So our veterans have inadequate aid and struggle from mental and physical setbacks. They also lack access to a livable income because of those setbacks. Luckily, there's a program that helps combat these issues, and that is the PA Wounded Warrior. This program helps veterans with issues like housing and homelessness, and it gives a helping hand to veterans that have specific needs. So the Sagers over here, they started this project by visiting wounded veterans in the hospital every weekend. Then that kind of like dragged on, and they actually took those wounded veterans to their farm, to a local farm in Adams County. So then as time went on, neighbors and friends started realizing what was going on, and they decided to get into the action too. So neighbors and friends started donating things like food, offering rides back and forth from the hospital to the farm, transportation, as well as recreational activities, pretty much anything that would help the cause. And something simply so genuine became much more than that. So the PA Wounded Warrior organization then goes on to then provide $1.1 million in order to assist 1,400 families over the last year. So basically, something so genuine started out, became something much more bigger than they could even realize. And out of every $100 that the program makes, $70 goes to help veterans paying like utilities, housing bills. $8 goes to like unexpected car repairs, vehicle-related bills, stuff like that. Then $7 goes to more events like an annual dinner that they hold. It also goes to stuff like Hershey Park tickets, Pocono Ski Week tickets, pretty much recreational activities that normal families can afford, but these families can't afford. Then the remaining funds are used for like mailing costs when necessary to briefly put homeless veterans up in hotels until like proper housing can be properly found for them. So the Pennsylvania Wounded Warrior does indeed provide relief to issues that we have discussed. So I provided a few examples from the Pennsylvania Wounded Warrior website. One example was when the Pennsylvania Wounded Warrior was just starting. They started working with the VA Medical Center in Lebanon, and they got plenty of calls with veteran needs. One specific veteran stood out who has PTSD. He was on disability as well. He has 3 kids, he had a wife, she was working as a waitress. Basically they couldn't meet ends meet with with the income coming in from disability checks and her income from being the waitress. So basically, they weren't earning enough, and the Pennsylvania Wounded Warrior stepped in to help out with rent until their income was better in shape. Another great case was where a wife was traveling from Halifax, Pennsylvania to visit her husband in Virginia. Gas prices were going up. They couldn't really afford to go back and forth. She was going like 3-4 times a week. So basically the Pennsylvania Wounded Warrior just gave them the gas cards to get by for the meantime. And even though those are really small instances, they can make a huge impact on some families' lives. And it is important for us to see how something so little can mean something much more to someone else. Which is why it's important for us to act on these issues rather than to just talk about them, which will then bring me to introduce Luke and how you can join in the action of helping veterans through the Pennsylvania Wounded Warrior.
There are many ways to donate and aid the Pennsylvania Wounded Warrior program. Some pathways are donating, sponsoring, and volunteering. You can donate by check to Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors Incorporated or by PayPal. Sponsoring opportunities for the Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors are to help cater for their annual Wounded Warrior Gala held in a local hotel in September or October. Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors rely greatly on volunteers since their staff cannot be everywhere 24/7. To volunteer, you can email them telling them what you would like to do or how you would like to contribute. Tell them a little bit about yourself and provide a phone number. They also work with your schedule to find the right opportunity, which helps us out a lot because our busy schedules with school. And if you don't have any time or money, which everyone's there right now, I guess, another way to help and the easiest is to just go up and thank a veteran and have a small conversation with them when you see them in the grocery store or even on the street, unfortunately. And as being a member of the United States Army Reserve, when somebody comes up to thank me for my service, it really does make my day, so I can only imagine what it feels like for them to have somebody say to them. On the board now is the Pennsylvania Wounded Warrior contact information if anybody wants to write that down or take a picture. And I'll now hand it back to Zach to conclude our presentation.
So if everyone just did their part and donated a little time, money, or even, like Luke said, a handshake, we could have a huge impact on veterans' lives today. So to summarize, Gabe gave some very interesting statistics on PTSD, how it affects homelessness. Then we had Justin talked about the PA Wounded Warriors project itself. And personally, I think it's very important to know where your money is going when you donate. And here's a graph to show. I think that's very important in their transparency. And so it's really helpful to me to see where that money is going. And finally, Luke talked about what you can do to help a veteran. So donate that $5, donate that hour of time, or give a handshake. Help a veteran live a life they deserve to live. On a personal note, I've never volunteered with the PA Wounded Warriors, but I have volunteered for the VFW. And those men and women are incredible. But the problem is, a lot of them have a hard time asking for help. And that's where we need to come in and step in and help those who are too proud to ask for help. And on a final note, he doesn't know I'm doing this, but I think we should all give a round of applause for Luke and his service to our country. And on that note, that concludes our speech.